Ahem. This podcast is brought to you by the Almanac and Scientific Canada. It was recorded on the traditional territories shared between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations. Enjoy. I feel like I just butchered that again, even though
That's close enough.
we just had the conversation. Okay.
My research on light adaptation in the fish right now.
I'm sitting in a kiddie pool, actually. It's quite nice,
Oh, that would be great.
but it's
man.
not very professional. As they say. Previously on Random Walk. You are going to ComSciCon Canada, or not really traveling to it, but you're going to be attending it virtually.
I will be probably attending it from right here in Edmonton, Alberta. I was working at the U of A, finishing up my PhD. I just convocated last Friday, so that was interesting. That was virtual too. So what I was studying during my PhD was the fabrication and design of atomic scale electronics for ultra low power computing, high density memory storage, things like that.
Okay. Is the image behind you an experimental image of some sort?
Yes, I made that. So each one of these little dots are hydrogen atoms. And then the big dot there is where we removed a hydrogen atom to leave behind what's known as the quantum dot. So that can store up to 2 electrons. And then we can start to pattern these structures from these quantum dots. No, I would definitely consider it as a career.
Okay. Okay.
No, I like science quite a bit, but I also found over the last couple of years, especially with some of the opportunities that I've had to sort of do SciComm, that I could really see myself doing it as a career. My partner shared with me some guy who was trying to start a global science show just sort of during the pandemic to introduce people around the world to different types of science. So I started joining in on that, making what I call 90 seconds of nanoscience videos. So I think I have 3 or 4. There's a new one coming this Friday.
Okay, cool.
So I've had a lot of fun with that, just trying to take interesting topics in physics and breaking them down into very simple 90-second chunks. I had a really cool opportunity also in 2016. You know Jay Ingram from
Yeah.
Planet? Yeah. He contacted my supervisor with a problem that he wanted to discuss and solve about how many times you could fold a piece of paper.
Okay.
But my supervisor was too busy. So he asked the grad students, he's like, hey guys, this is Jay, can you help him? And I was like, oh, of course. I grew up watching this guy on TV. So I wrote up a little piece about how many times you could fold a piece of paper, what the theoretical limit would be. And he actually blended that into one of the chapters of his book. And so my name appears in there. It's like, Roshan took this formula and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And came up with the number 18 for how many times you could fold a single atom sheet. A bunch of my friends are having babies in the next little while, or have had babies. And I thought, it'd be kind of cool to write them a children's book. So I'd actually started a project 4 or 5 months ago doing that, and I haven't come back to it. And her email made me think, actually, I could use that. So I wrote 3 short children's stories for the SciComm writing piece.
That's so cool.
So they're each 200-ish words and little rhymes. One is about organelles in a cell.
Okay.
One is about photons, how fast they go, and the other one is about acids and bases. So
That's
one for
sweet.
physics.
So major takeaways. I guess it's been a couple weeks now, or 2 weeks or so since the thing.
You can say the acronym. ComSciConCan.
ComSciConCan 2020. It's a long one. It's getting it all in the right order is kind of tough. So yeah, you've probably had some time to let it stew. And any major takeaways, anything that really struck you?
Honestly, I thought all things considered, it was a pretty good virtual conference. I think everyone, I was a little disappointed that we couldn't all meet in person and interact sort of, but that Remo system that they were using, virtual tables and everything, was really good. And there was still a fair bit of participant interaction.
Yeah, I was surprised with Remo. I didn't really know what to expect. I was hoping it wasn't going to be like a little avatar situation of like walking around a virtual table. It was a lot more natural than that, and you actually got to use your own video.
Honestly, I was impressed. Like, it's no substitute for the real thing, but as far as like compared to Zoom or Google Meet or something, like way better forum for a conference.
Yeah. How did you feel about interacting with speakers through that the Remo?
Well, like with the question, raise your hand sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I think it was a little unfortunate with like the voting system for questions, because if you asked a good question late, it just didn't have enough time to.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So as long as you kind of people got the feel for that and asked their questions right away, then I think it worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense with a smaller cohort, kind of like what we had or smaller. You might be able to still have your questions seen, but I guess it wouldn't really work if you had like 300 people or something.
You'd really need that, like everyone ask right away and then people vote.
Yeah, that makes it a little tough. Right, so there's a bunch of concurrent sessions. What sessions stuck out to you as particularly good? Did you?
I really liked the sort of science journalism panel. That was really interesting. And
the one with who was that one with? That was with the cardiologist guy?
Yeah, cardiologist guy, a couple of professors, one of the artists, one of the ladies who was an artist.
Right.
They provided kind of a really nice broad perspective on various aspects of science journalism, science communication.
Yeah, they seemed like a pretty well-selected group in that they sort of covered a couple different areas and also like levels of engagement. Like, I think his name was Chris or something. I remember him thinking he was sort of on the outside of science communication, in that it definitely wasn't his day job. It was just a passion project type situation for him. Yeah. He's not making a lot of money off of it, which he reminded us often.
Yep. Yes, he did.
So his experience was completely different from some of the other women who were on the panel. And it was interesting to see them sort of interact.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where if you're able to support yourself on, say, a cardiologist's salary, it's okay to do unpaid SciComm work. But in general, I definitely agree with the other panelists that you should be getting paid in some capacity, or, like, time isn't free.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it can be a labor of love all you like, but, if you're spending tons and tons of time doing it, you got to get something out of it.
Yeah. And then the other session I was in was like the social media for scientists, things like that. And so I was able to just ask sort of the question about social media fatigue, things like that. Because that's something I read about with these bigger accounts all the time. It's like, I get tired of posting like 5 things in a month. I can't imagine posting 5 things in a day every day.
Right. That was with Samantha Yamin.
Yeah.
Science Sam. Yeah, she definitely has a lot of experience with that.
Yeah.
Were you following her before? Did you know anything about her before?
No, that was the first time I had come across her, but I guess she's quite popular.
Yeah, she started off mostly talking about her own research, but during the COVID stuff, really did a pivot and started providing some really good information along those lines, and sort of carved out a niche in that. She was like really on it really early, and
yeah, she seemed like she really knew what she was doing.
Yeah, it was cool to have her. Did that change your thoughts on how you're going to engage with social media at all? Are you going to?
Not so much, because that session was mostly focused on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I think I made an Instagram a while back, and I have 0 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have time to juggle like a billion social media platforms. So. But I mean. I saw like it is clearly very useful for engaging very different demographics in science. So that's really cool that she does it the way she does.
Yeah. My major takeaway, maybe this is just because of her specific experience, but maybe a lot of her tips weren't exactly transferable to people who just sort of use social media, not like a full-time job. Her stuff was definitely like all the time, Instagram, my major, creative output or whatever is on social media.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make like Instagram or Twitter your full-time SciComm job, there was a lot of really useful stuff, but
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, more of a casual, like, I want to engage an audience from time to time, certainly not probably the best place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess if that's the case, then you probably don't need a lot of, professional tips. So
yeah, that's true. Like for some people though, I think they were looking to like maybe get into it more lightly and then see if it could turn into more of a full-time thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely worth considering. It seems like a pretty good way to reach people.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice how many professionals on different panels mentioned TikTok and like trying to get involved in TikTok?
That was hilarious because I don't know. It turned out not many people are familiar with the controversy surrounding TikTok. I'm like, I don't really want to join TikTok. And they're like, no, TikTok's great. The kids love it. I'm like, I'm sure TikTok's about to get banned.
Yeah, that's like the big thing right now. Like, is it going to be around next month or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I think that was just a very like generational divide in like if you're over, I don't know, I don't want to put an age to this because this is going on YouTube. But if you're over a particular age and less familiar with the internet, it's like, oh, TikTok's great. The kids are talking about it. And then everyone else is like, I think TikTok might be evil.
Yeah, I was thinking about TikTok, and I think I'm right on the cusp of that age line that you're referring to, and that I still kind of refer to them as Vines, and I.
Oh wow, yeah, you're definitely aging yourself on that one.
I don't know. They're fine. They're fine. I'm kind of glad there isn't another thing for me to think about, though.
Yeah. And apparently Instagram's doing TikTok style videos now in sort of a take up the market once TikTok is gone type competition.
Yeah, I got to take a look at that. The Instagram TV thing was fairly new to me, even though that's been around for a while, where you can have these like long form video stories. But yeah, what are these, reels or something like that? They're trying to simulate the TikTok formula. I see no reason why they took all of the ideas from Snapchat for their stories and stuff.
We're Snapchat. Both Facebook and Instagram. Oh, I guess it's the same company, but here's a story.
Yeah, why not just keep adding stuff onto to Instagram?
Yeah.
Seems like a good plan. I'm gonna put my stock options into Instagram. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm selling out of TikTok. I'm buying into Instagram.
I will be one of the first viewers of your video.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other panels that stuck out to you? We covered the social media one and a little bit of the wide world of SciComm panel.
I really enjoyed the expert review session. I don't know how you felt about yours, but the lady that was working with us, Shelly, was actually like really helpful.
Yeah, tell me about that. So you were in a group of 4 or 5 people. And who was your expert reviewer?
Shelly, I'm forgetting her last name now. Weart, I think. So she was really interesting in that she didn't have a huge actual science background, but she was bringing more of a like communication perspective to it. And so I think it was kind of a good fit in the sense that you really needed to be able to explain your piece to her with a very minimal science background. If she got it, then I think you're on the right track.
Interesting. So like very much like a pitching to the editor of like a New York Times or whatever.
Yeah. And she was super nice, super positive with everyone's pieces, provided helpful feedback, of which one was join TikTok.
So you prepared a written piece, right? We talked a little bit about that. What kind of feedback did she provide for you?
So I wrote.
Put it onto TikTok.
Yeah, I wrote 3 children's stories, one for bio, physics, and chemistry, and the main feedback was basically that she really, really liked how it was structured. And then she knew a woman who just got a book published, and then she put me in touch with her recently. So basically, she read it to her daughters, and they liked it. So the more exposure this got, it seemed like people were really engaging with these works, and I felt pretty happy with that. I mean, I put some time into them, and I only had scientists reading them, so having this completely kind of independent of me, independent of science review committee look at it and be like, oh, that's actually pretty like good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So one day maybe they'll be in print somewhere.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Do you think being online this year helped any people from different parts of Canada get to the actual conference? Like, did you get a sense, or did you talk to anybody that had any experience like that?
No, I don't think that really came up in the sense. I guess because the premise of this whole conference was that your flights would be covered to Toronto.
Right.
So aside from any sort of issue with flying that a person had, I think most people expected to be local with everyone.
Right.
But if it was sort of a this cost falls to you type situation, then I think it would be a lot more difficult for someone coming from the Northwest Territories or kind of rural Alberta or somewhere to achieve.
I guess that sort of opens the door to having more of these smaller, localized, or foot in the door style conferences, not these like massive ones that have tons of funding. You can probably just put more on if there is demand.
The part I think, like, you can tell me how you felt about it maybe, but I mean, sitting in your room for 5 or 6 hours at a time wasn't like the best thing to happen.
Yeah. I realized, so I recently bought a pair of Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah.
Just for like running and stuff. And I was so happy I had those because during the conference I could sort of pace around or like go to the kitchen and work on something and not really miss out on anything. But
that's pretty good. Yeah.
But still, like, not being able to go outside that whole afternoon or whatever is it is strenuous. It's not like just laying in bed all day.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't have like the best chairs too. Like, I know my back was killing me by the end of the first day. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's just the reality of, like, it's not necessarily like conference halls are nicer. You just have more of a chance to walk around.
Yeah. I feel like those are also a bit of growing pains. Certainly, like, if I had more time to set up my apartment for like a at-home work experience, I probably could figure something better out. I was on the couch most of the time and sometimes on the floor.
Oh,
that was my my situation.
Yeah, I was lucky. Like, I have 2 monitors, like the main laptop monitor and a second monitor. So that helped a lot, just being able to put the like panelist or whatever on the top screen and still have space to work. Yeah,
actually, that's a pretty good pro tip or whatever. Either have a second monitor or I was using a Chromebook for a lot of like my correspondence type stuff and my actual laptop to do the heavy lifting of video and whatever. But yeah, having another screen that you can kind of engage while the other, your first screen sort of takes over the audio video.
It was pretty involved having that there. You kind of want to make it full screen and just size of the text and everything. I don't think people have quite worked out the ins and outs of a particular platform for sizing your slides.
Yeah, I guess that was a little bit of a difficulty. I forget. Did you do a poster?
Or... I did not do a poster.
Okay. One of the things that I found it a little difficult to do a poster in that situation because I wanted to be able to see everyone's faces, but I had to also screen share to some extent.
Oh yeah.
And then I was flipping through slides, and it was a little bit confusing. But I don't know. Poster session, I could take or leave.
Yeah, it was like a nice idea. I think like if I were to redo it, I would have put like a speed networking session or something instead, where like people rotated between tables for like 2 minutes at a time.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, just to get a chance to know everyone. Like I'm sure there's like 10 or 15 people. I just never had a chance to even see their face.
Yeah, that's true. Have you stayed in contact, or are you still on the Slack channel? Did you find everybody else on Twitter, etc.?
Yeah, most people. I think there's a few people that didn't have Twitter or something yet, but like a couple of people added me on LinkedIn and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think my follower account just went like on Twitter, which is kind of nice. And I followed everybody back.
The old hockey stick growth. It's good stuff.
But then it plateaus again, and you're like, oh well.
I'll need another conference to.
No, it's been great though. Like since following all these other people, the amount of cool things that have appeared on my Twitter feed has been.
Yeah, that's I gotta say, like, just scrolling through the Twitter feed is one of my favorite little diversions from work. You get to see some, if
Yeah.
you're following the right people, you get to see so much cool stuff. So has this inspired you to, focus on anything in particular, or start any sort of projects, or double down on any projects? Anything actionable that you're taking away from all this?
Yeah, I really, based on all the feedback I got and sort of the positive pressure, I really want to try and get the written pieces published in some way.
Mhm.
And then maybe try and write a couple more. Came up with, well, it's not really the new phrase, but Schrodinger's cat in the hat would be a great children's book.
Yeah, I like that. I'm into that.
Someone, I Googled it yesterday to see if someone had done it. And there's a couple pictures of Schrodinger's cat in the hat that people put on a t-shirt, but no actual book.
Okay. That sounds like the kind of thing you would maybe see as like a Halloween costume on The Big Bang Theory, but flesh out the whole story. I'm down. That sounds good.
Yeah, I figure, like physicists, the very small market that we are, might be into that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. I mean, if I can write like 7 short books for kids with like fun tongue-in-cheek things, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Get those what are those, like those golden spined children's books? Get some of those going.
Yeah.
Get into the classics.
Man, that would be that's the dream. Down to children's author, Dr. Achal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Was Dr. Seuss an actual doctor?
I think he was.
Okay.
Although my Dr. Seuss knowledge is pretty minimal.
Yeah.
I'm told he also didn't like children that much.
I'll speak to children through text. I will not see them. I will not hear them.
I mean, in the time of coronavirus, it's maybe the best way to go.
Yeah, the written word is coming back. I like this guy. I'm liking him more and more.
Yeah, doctor doesn't like interaction.
Yeah.
It's really the perfect one of children's right.
He must have been a physicist. That sounds totally right. Cool. Well, any other sort of takeaways that we didn't touch on that?
No, not that I can think of. I was just happy with all the resources that there was a bunch of links being shared around of like you can write here, might get picked up there. Like I saw you got an article picked up. That's pretty great.
Oh yeah. I had written that a couple months ago with Massive, and I had no idea that they had what do they call that? Syndicated it to Salon. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's one of the things you sign up for with Massive is they will try to pitch articles that they publish to other, get it published in other places. But
that was I liked that write up about the whole March meeting debacle, turning it positive.
Yeah, did you know anybody who ended up in Denver?
Oh yeah, no, someone from my lab went, a couple of my friends went, like literally, I think they canceled it like Sunday night or Monday morning, or I forget what day it was, but like he was literally on the airplane there, landed, and like, oh, sorry, conference is canceled. Someone else here was like about to leave, and he was at the airport, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go anyways, and got on the plane and went to Denver, and like still had his like vacation side of it.
Huh. I had that serious thought. So I remember seeing the cancellation message like less than 12 hours before I was going to board the plane. It's like, I could just get on this plane. Like the tickets aren't going to get refunded. Yeah. Hindsight, glad I didn't.
Yeah, apparently the flights home were nuts. Just like coronavirus panic. People were being packed onto the buses in the like Colorado tarmac, I think, or just like, no real like social distancing at that time yet because people just, it was so new.
Yeah, that wasn't even really a concept, I don't think, at that point.
No, so people were, they were like weary of flying, but at the same time, there was no safety precautions, and everyone was just trying to like get out of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then varying degrees of who got refunded or not.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think it led to some good changes in sort of how it is possible to deliver virtual content.
Mm-hmm.
like potentially just even like simultaneous to an in-person conference, like having an actual real well set up networking ability.
Yeah, I think the real power is going to come in the simultaneous conferences once all of this is sort of worked out. And maybe that looks like having somebody, on a computer sort of representing a couple of the people who are signing in virtually or something like that, so that they can, ask questions live in a sense. Not sure exactly how that's going to look, but I think at least in academia, we've really, pulled together and found some pretty creative, nice solutions to some of these problems that I think will make it all very equitable.
Well, especially, depending on like, I think you were talking about the first time you went for a conference in that article that it came directly out of pocket. I remember like the first time I went to a conference, I had to phone the credit card company and be like, can I have a credit limit increase, please? And they're like, oh, you're a student. Okay, like we can lift it up this much. I'm like, yeah, okay, that'll do it. And then I was able to like get the tickets, get the hotel. But then by the time you get reimbursed, it's like a 3-month ordeal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my supervisor's always been good with that stuff, but I have seen some like nightmare stories of months and months of interest accruing, and often they won't cover that. And
that system is pretty rough, especially if you're just kind of starting out and don't have any type of like reserve fund.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's not all glitz and glamour, I gotta tell you. Life of a grad student.
It can be hard.
Early in that article, like at the beginning, I wrote something about like sharing a bed or something with lab mates, and the person who was reviewing it is like, "Did you mean sharing a room?" I was like, "No, no. I could change that though if it's distracting."
You're not the only person I know that's had to share a bed for conferences.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up playing sports and stuff, so I've shared many a bed with many many a coworker, so it's fine.
Yeah, as long as you're both consenting, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't really want to spring that on someone. Be like, oh, only one bed.
All 6 of us. It'll be like Willy Wonka or whatever, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Last APS, I know there was a house of like 8 or 10 theoretical physicists. I couldn't even imagine what was going on in there.
Oh, maybe
like you want to get out of this house? I'm like, no, my lab and I were going to get a slightly smaller, slightly less theoretical accommodation.
Yeah, would that end up being like a frat party or like a LAN party? Like what vibe do you think we're getting there?
Yeah, I think it really depends. I think most people just kind of kept to themselves.
Yeah. I certainly find when I'm away on conferences like that, at the end of the day, I kind of just want to, hide, sit in the hot tub or something.
APS is so big that it's exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this weekend experience has shown me that it doesn't really matter what you do. Interacting that much with people is going to be exhausting. I was still tired by the end of it. Just a different kind of tired, I guess.
It's just, you really have to be, especially when it's not people you've ever met before, you kind of have to be much more on. And I think that can be quite draining.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Did you come up with any techniques for disappearing out of digital conversations?
No. Luckily, I didn't have to. Most of those conversations were really good.
Yeah.
And then you just get cut off when the virtual limousine arrived.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. All those, when you're at your table and then the overarching conference, organizers want to speak to everybody. Everyone's conversation gets cut off with basically no warning.
Yep, just mid-sentence, the limousine is here. And you're like, oh.
That was a nice touch, the little flavor added with the limousine.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on here.
End cap on the conference.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be useful for somebody else down the road. So, if you like this, you can find more at scientificcanada.ca. We're on YouTube and any streaming service you'd like to listen to us on. Thanks again to Dr. Roshan Achal for being on the show, and thanks to Booney at booney.rocks for the intro music. That's it for this week. See you next week.